Hello and welcome to the first episode of the Wholehearted Healing podcast with Jo, who is me. Welcome. We are going to get into just a whole lot of health and healing and spirituality and personal development, anything really kind of like wellness and just self-healing related. I'm so excited that you're here. I'm excited to share lots of things with you guys. I wanted to start a podcast because I can definitely talk, but I just have so many things that I want to share, and sometimes it's really hard to fit into bite-sized content when it comes to like Instagram and social media and that sort of thing. So if you're with me, you might be on YouTube, or you might be on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, but wherever you are, I'm so grateful that you're here. Today, we're going to be talking about 360 healing, kind of what that is, why it's important, why it's effective, but some housekeeping things to kind of start. I do have a free webinar that I'm hosting for women. It is Mindful Healing, a holistic approach to transform women's health. So if you are dealing with any sort of symptoms, things you've been trying to heal, that sort of thing, we are actually going to go into 360 healing kind of in that. So if you're interested in that, the link to sign up is below. It's happening on Tuesday, February 20th at 6 p.m. Eastern time, but there will be a recording being sent out or replay sent out for those of you who can't make it or if you want to rewatch it. With that though, just make sure I usually have a double confirmation on my emails. So once you sign up for something, it'll probably ask you to confirm your email. But if you don't do that, you won't get the updated emails or the links and that sort of thing. So just make sure that you're doing that. And as well, my Mindful Woman program is also open. The link for that will be below if you're on YouTube. I think I might be able to put it in the Spotify and Apple podcast, but I'm just not sure yet. So if it's not there, you can check out my Instagram. It's definitely on there. But I only have 6 spots open at a time. So depending on how that fills up, there is limited spots. So, and that is a program that it's 12 weeks and it takes you through healing journey, helping you heal your long-term symptoms, and that sort of thing. So those are kind of some housekeeping things. Otherwise, let's kind of get into it. I do want to give a bit of a brief kind of overview of just kind of who I am, why I'm doing this. I have gone through over 10 years of schooling when it comes to physical health. So a lot of my training and my the things that I've learned have been a lot of physical in the sense of like, personal training, that sort of thing, but also more so with regards to like manual treatment. So I am a registered massage therapist, like I'm in Canada. So my license is with registered massage therapy, as well as I have my manual osteopathic treatment certification. So I treat mainly as an osteopath now. I'm not open for massage appointments, but I really wanted to kind of get into osteopathy mainly because I just felt like, and when I came out of massage school, my other program, it was like there was so much that just was missing. One of my thoughts when I was in my massage therapy program was just like, there's so much just more to the body than muscles. So I've always been interested in that more kind of holistic lens when it comes to health. And as I kind of went through my massage therapy schooling, as well as my osteopathic schooling, I've always been interested in personal development for myself. And I was just like, there's so much, and there's so much when it comes to, people that come even in to see me. It's like, you can tell there's just so much beneath them rather than just like, oh, I deal with this like hip pain, right? So yeah, I was just kind of in this framework where I was like, I believe in there's being this holistic view when it comes to health and healing. And it originally started with like, there's just so much more to the body. So I wanted to learn about all the things, body-wise, that I felt like osteopathy fit that framework, obviously. But then now I'm also realizing, there's so much with our emotions and our spiritual health and our connectedness, right? And just our nervous system and like all of these, like our mental health, our physical health, our emotional health, our spiritual health. And that's kind of that 360 approach, that if one is off, it starts to influence all of these other areas. And so I very much believe in self-healing, but I feel like the challenge with self-healing that a lot of times people need guidance and kind of a framework around is that you don't always know where to start. You don't always have that clarity. Sometimes it's like hard to see ourselves, right? Or we need like a bit of like a prompt or something that kind of has us view where you go like, oh, aha, right? I have an epiphany moment. I have something that is kind of like gives me that direction that I need in order to put my focus and attention in the right space. So with what I've seen in practice, this is kind of where I just feel like I have so much to share, and I have so much that is knowledgeable for people trying to heal, especially women, because I do see quite a few, women. Most of my practice is women. I find women are also very open to this type of stuff as well. Not that men aren't, it's just that I just don't typically see as many guys, although sometimes I'll have a clinic day of pretty much all men. So it just kind of depends. But a lot of my healing, I feel like being a woman as well, I feel like I can identify and I can relate. And, we are different biologically, which influences just how we handle things, how we deal with things, right? Just all of those types of things. So this aspect of 360 healing is really looking at mental, spiritual, physical, and emotional health, right? Where, where's the pitfall? What's the one thing that's kind of the trigger for all these other things? And what makes the most sense for the approach? Or, if your goal is, to lose weight, let's say, it's like, well, what's holding you back from doing that in the first place? And so that's kind of this 360 approach where it's like, okay, there could be emotional things, that are preventing you from being able to lose the weight, right? Patterns that you fall into, habits, that sort of thing. Now, I don't typically look at weight loss necessarily. A lot of mine is more, kind of physical aches and pains and things that people are dealing with when it comes to like conditions and that sort of thing. And definitely, all of those things kind of like intertwine. Sorry, I've been very interrupted during this recording this. So if I'm a little all over the place, or if you're watching on YouTube, then that's why there's kind of these breaks. But my dogs just keep barking as per usual. It's always the way it is. But yeah, when you can kind of look at things and it's like, okay, well, a lot of times I have people come into me and they're like, okay, I've got hip pain. And they think like the hip is the problem. There's a lot of times when I treat people like the hip is not really the problem, or like what they think is driving it is actually related to something else, because everything's all connected, right? We live in this world where one action influences a ton of other things, right? And so it's kind of like, you're not the only person influenced by situations and events and that sort of thing. So by taking this holistic approach and kind of taking this broader lens of view when it comes to your health, it allows you to get more specific. It allows you to, okay, what's the big picture? And then how can we hone in, or what do we see that's like the area that we need to look at? And when you can then focus on that area, things get better, right? Because instead of just assuming this is the problem, it's like you've actually taken a proper look at things to realize like, there's other things that are driving or influencing this. And so I see that a lot in my practice, obviously, with treating people, is that like, again, it's not always where people assume it is. A lot of times there's other things, or there's deeper layers to it. And there's a lot of aspects of health that kind of go, I would say, overlooked, because we always just look at the symptoms of things rather than looking at the bigger picture of like what's really going on. So when we chase symptoms don't always give us the real answer or the solution necessarily. The symptoms is just the signal telling you like, hey, something's going on and I need you to look at this, right? Like this is the sign from your body to say like something needs to be healed, right? I want this to be healed. And it's coming up for you to reflect on and look at. And so the same thing goes with any aspect of our life, right? Whether it's our health, our wealth, our relationships. When there's, quote unquote, negative things coming up that we don't necessarily view as positive, obviously, and that we're struggling with, it's coming up for us to take a different approach or to look at something that's being hidden or that we're not looking at or that we're avoiding, right? And so that's where, again, this 360 healing for me is really taking a broad lens so that you can get more specific on like what the problem really is. So, and in order for us to, I feel healthy in just our life, right? And our energy and how we feel about our life and how we feel about our wealth and our health and all these aspects, it's like you do need this whole encompassing thing, right? Like take money, for example. Like there's some people that have tons of money, but there's other areas of their life that are suffering, and therefore that's like where that whole money doesn't buy happiness kind of thing comes in, where it's like, yeah, you've got this one area of your life figured out, but you don't have the other area. And so then it doesn't give this complete feeling of, kind of wholeness, or that like things are kind of figured out or settled, right? So it's the same sort of approach when we're looking at healing things when it comes to our health. So that's kind of what it is. It's a little bit too of like why it's effective. Personally, I feel like it's effective because you're not actually chasing a symptom, right? You're getting to the root cause of something. You're looking at why it's even there in the first place. It's kind of like a car. If you have your engine light that comes on in your car and you just like keep shutting it off, but you don't ever actually go get it fixed, then you never really fix the problem. You just keep ignoring and shutting off the signal, right? And so that's the symptom. The symptom is the light coming on, right? The symptom, or maybe it's the chugging noise or whatever, right? But to actually fix it, you have to get to the root of why it's doing that in the first place. And that's when you really heal. And that's when you really fix the car, right? It's the same sort of thing when it comes to our health. We have to get to the root of it. And so many people are just focused on the symptoms and they don't get to the root. And that is, I think, the biggest reason why people have symptoms coming back. It's the biggest reason why they don't ever find a solution or a resolution to their problems and what they're struggling with. It's why a lot of times people are told like, well, you just have to deal with it. And it's because they're not willing to, like, whoever is telling them that is not willing to take a deeper look at, what's going on in that person's life holistically that could be adding or contributing to, what's going on symptom wise. So don't just chase the symptoms. But yeah, that's kind of my approach to a lot of my, all of my treatments and any of my programs is very much looking at that whole picture of things. Down the line, as I create programs and stuff, it'll be a lot of things that I find are root causes for, people's ailments and that sort of thing. But I've had a lot of success with clients being able to take this approach, and people feel seen and they feel heard and they feel listened to and they feel supported in a way that a lot of times they're not getting that, right? Because people are just brushing them off and only looking at, again, their symptoms. So that is kind of the approach. I wanted to kind of like just start with an introductory podcast. So hopefully you gained a little bit more insight of just kind of like me and how I view things. Again, as we go through podcast episodes and that sort of thing, it's going to be a lot of me sharing, my stories, and just my experiences, as well as the information, the knowledge, and the wisdom that I've gained, and that I continue to gain. It just gives me, again, like a longer form of platform that I can get all my words out that I can't always get out in an Instagram post or a reel or whatever, especially with everyone wanting shorter content. So I just feel like this is going to be a very beneficial way for both myself and for you to really kind of get into my brain and into my world and just kind of see things the way that I see things. So I really hope that you enjoyed this. Again, it's just like a teeny tiny little snippet here, not meant to be anything crazy, as it is kind of just like the first intro topic. If there's anything healing and health related that you want to kind of know about, I would love to know. So you can either reach out to me on Instagram, or if you're on YouTube, you can comment below, obviously. And yeah, share those things with me, and I would love to talk about things and elaborate. I obviously have a whole list of like my own ideas, but they topics are kind of open and broad. Again, spirituality, personal development, health and wellness, that sort of thing. Any of that in those categories, which again is pretty broad, feel free to ask me about those things. And yeah, I would be more than willing and happy to share with you. So yeah, that is pretty much it. Again, my free webinar is happening on February 20th. If you're viewing this before then, there will be a free replay. So the sign up link is below. Just make sure to confirm your email. And yeah, and my Mindful Woman program is also available. My 12-week healing journey for women looking to heal any sort of long-term chronic symptoms. There's only going to be 6 spots as of right now until those spots kind of open up again. So there is limited spots that I have available. I keep it open for people to enroll when they're ready, but I limit the spots because it's very much like a one-on-one container. There is some group calls, but you get one-on-one access to me quite heavily. So yeah, that's kind of why it's why those spots are limited. I only have so much time. So anyways, thank you so much for being here, listening or watching, and I can't wait to share with you the next episode. And I hope you all are gonna have the best healing journey, and hopefully you get the experience to heal if that's what you're looking for. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.